overstimulating environments, such as going to school all day, introverts need to. Setbacks for introverts includes, so for all you parents out there, if you have an extrovert, realize that they need a lot more. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Melody Johnson podcast. Today, we're going to talk about an exciting topic, introverts versus extroverts. Have you ever wondered how some kids thrive in group settings while other kids prefer quiet settings? Well, today we're going to dive into introverts and extroverts and how their brain processes the world differently, and also how we can support both personality types. So let's talk about the scientific difference between introverts and extroverts. Introverts tend to have lower thresholds for arousal, meaning that they get overstimulated more easily. At the exact same time, extroverts require higher levels of external stimulation to feel energized and engaged, which means that they seek out social interactions and they also seek out attention. Now, the way that the brain activity works in introverts is that they have more activity in the prefrontal cortex, leading to deeper reflection and decision-making. While at the exact same time, extroverts have more activity in the brain's reward center, making them more socially driven and responsive to immediate feedback. For example, when a teacher asks a simple question like, raise your hand if you can demonstrate this math problem, you're going to see extroverts raising their hand going, ooh, 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 pick me, while introverts hide. Now, a teacher usually is inclined to pick the introvert because they're going to try to pull them out of their shell. And they're going to ignore the extroverts because they feel like they're too attention-seeking. When you do that, you're going against their brain's core nature. For example, in our martial arts school, one thing that we do to make sure that we're targeting both needs of introverts and extroverts is we may say something like, touch your ear if you know how to demonstrate this form, and raise your hand if you want to demonstrate the form. That way, we're meeting the needs of the introvert, not feeling like they're shy. They're still letting you know they can demonstrate the technique or they know the technique. And then, of course, we'll pick an extrovert who raised their hand because we know that they need that stimulation. So think about that. The next time you are working with an introvert and working with an extrovert, what meets their core natures? Another thing you want to think about with introverts versus extroverts is after an overstimulating environment, such as going to school all day, introverts need to recharge their battery. My son's an introvert, so I know this. When he gets home, he needs to get in comfy clothes and have a little bit of a snack, and he needs a little bit of a downtime. At the exact same time, extroverts who have the desire for stimulation, they tend to feel understimulated at school because they're sitting still, because they don't get the ongoing, exciting, high-energy social interaction that they need in school. When they get home, they tend to have the zoomies. Now, let's think about it from a scientific standpoint. When not managed properly, if you're constantly working with an introvert and trying to push them out of their shell too much, this is going to lead to a lot of setbacks. Setbacks for introverts includes anxiety, meltdowns, and panic attacks. At the exact same time, when you're working with extroverts, if they don't get the stimulation that they need, that's going to lead to depression when they're isolated, tantrums when they don't get that engagement, and also aggression when the energy isn't channeled constructively. So my suggestion to you is if you're a teacher or you are a coach, look at your students, assess, are they an introvert or extrovert? Then realize that extroverts, they need that attention. They need to be up there demonstrating. They need to be the ones leading the team. Introverts at the exact same time, they're more deep thinkers. They learn best and they feel better in group environments when they're observing. That's not to say that you can't push an introvert out of their shell every so often just to teach them how to have the courage and confidence to be in front of group people. And at the exact same time, that doesn't mean that you always want to pick the extroverts to get that extra attention, but it's understanding that too much or too little does have an effect on them in other ways. So understanding this, how they process information and how they learn can transform the way that we coach, the way that we teach, and even the way that we parent. So for all you parents out there, if you have an extrovert, realize that they need a lot more stimulation. So if you're going on a long car ride, the chances are they're going to have a lot of zoomies when you get to your actual destination. At the exact same time, if you have an introvert and you're bringing them to, for example, a new environment, a birthday party, especially with the younger introverts, they need to sit back. They need to observe first before they feel comfortable in that group environment. Now, if you found this information informative, I recommend that you check out my Pediatric Ninja Specialist program, where I dive into this even more deeper. And if you found this podcast informative and you think that other people that you know would benefit from them, please send it over to them. Any parents, teachers, or coaches, let's look at introverts and extroverts according to their core nature, because if we do, we can make a big impact on their life. Thank you for listening to the Melanie Johnson podcast. Have a great day.